I'm going to do another glass container today, but I'm going to focus also on the flowers and the pattern of what's underneath it. And so for the glass vase, let's see now, this has a table that's pretty much straight. So I'm looking at the position of it. I'm going to make it around a third of the way down the edge of the table. And I'm going to make sort of a center axis for the container, the jar. It's like a canning jar. And it's pretty much straight up and down, so that makes it a little bit easier. You just judge on each side what the distance is, so it's even. And it has a little bit of a lace thing around the top. So that'll be interesting to create the effect of that. And then it's got on the surface of the glass, it's got an oval shape. I don't have the photo close enough that I can actually see it really well. Let me see if I can move it a little closer. I might have to enlarge it slightly while I'm painting it or drawing it. Oh, okay. So what it's got on the design of it is sort of looks like some leaves, and I'm not sure if it's a flower or what, but I can see what the shapes are, and so I'm just going to do some similar shapes. There's a little bit of a design around the outside edge of this oval. Mainly it's highlights and shadows that you need to look for. And then on the bottom of now that I blew it up, I can see that it's actually got more of a curve on the bottom than I drew. And it's got another little base it's sitting on. So good idea to enlarge it a little bit so you can see it better. Get that cord out of the way. And now I can see the lace too. This is reminding me of when I first started doing more technical work. I really loved all that detail, you know. It was so satisfying to be able to do something that looked so realistic. I'd like to be able to feel that way again. I think maybe I got burned out or something. So I'm just looking at some of these shapes now. Oh, did it stop? Okay. I have to convince my camera to stay on. And to stay right side up. Now I'm looking at some of these shapes, and you know what I think is happening is that in the vase, it's reflecting some of the trees that are outside because it's got this dark brown that's there. So I might have to put something in there that looks, you know, the shapes or the colors that are in the background on this. And if I really look hard, I can see a little bit of this oval on the bottom of the container. And then these green stems. Down on the bottom, it's interesting what happens because I think it's the reflection of the stem on the bottom of the container. It sort of like takes a turn. And then I see these little highlights. If you could trace this, that would be the best thing. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing some shapes that I'll just be painting in. I don't think I can frisk it the whole thing that. Okay, now I've got to go back and reduce the size of the image so I can see the whole thing. Okay, now I'm going to look at the outside shape of the flowers. I want to try to get a better proportion on this than I did the last time. I want to make the flowers. I also want to have more white space and not paint such a solid shape of flowers. The French Quarter Festival is this weekend, you guys. I'm going to go to it because it's a lot of music. Some people say it's better than the Jazz Fest, and it's free. And there's a lot of food and fun, and I'll just take the ferry over there and spend a few hours.
It is a lot better than the Jazz Fest. You'll
Oh,
have a great time.
you've been to it?
I have years ago. I was working at the time, and so I was there at like a conference, so I couldn't get out and do as much as I wanted, but my
Uh-huh.
husband was able to, and he had a great time. Bands on every corner.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
great.
I thought.
And food too.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, good. I'll have to tell you how it is. Oh, I think I did this already. I think I did it again. I sort of made the flowers a little too compact. Maybe that's one good thing about doing that splashy thing where you just start splashing. And it already looks a little tight to me, what I have here. Oh, I'm about to get my water. So I'm gonna loosen it up when I paint it. So I think I'll start with the glass just because that's what we're focusing on right now. So I'm enlarging the photo on my screen. And just analyzing what I see here, I do see some browns and greens in the top part, but I'm going to start with the lighter greens that I see down below, and they're sort of a kind of a viridian with a little bit of a yellow to them. So I'll start by painting in shapes that I see. Okay. Don't see the top of the water level on this one, so in some ways that makes it a little easier. But then it's, you know, you have other things you need to consider. when you're gonna make it look like glass. Oh, I think I do see something. Oh, it's just like something on the stem. It's like a segmented stem or something. Now I need to like start to work on this center part in here. And I'm not positive what color, some of the colors I have on this palette are, because it's a palette I've had for a long time. But putting in some of this darker, kind of a reddish brown tone. Now I'm going to knock down some of the whites. I'm just making an impression of what I'm seeing here because it would take more time to do the really fine detail.
And I think this works very well because the way glass breaks up the, you know, the background, so to speak, the stems and things, it isn't, your brain can't entirely figure that out. So,
No.
you know, it's got a dot here and a dot there, and that's, you can't make a, you know, that's all your brain registers, is that there's, you know, a texture
Yeah.
It doesn't register it entirely as a pattern. Excuse me. At least my brain doesn't.
I'm gonna get my smaller brush now. Okay, I just keep looking for where I have to knock down some of the white a little bit. And so now I'm looking at the overall value pattern. And I'm graying some of the lighter values.
What brand of brushes do you use, Sylvia?
Oh, well, I've got the Princeton long rounds. This one that I have just happens to be the script brush or a rigger. I can't see the name. It's got, still has a tape on it, if you can believe that.
Mm,
Stratford, it says.
okay.
And so now down here,
Riggers are usually a little bit stiff, which makes it, which is helpful in doing smooth lines.
okay. And now I'm looking at the shape of this little oval that's in here.
It's like an aquarium.
Sort of. It's got this little design on the outside edge too,
Mm,
like a curly Q thing, but I can't, kind of hard to paint because some of the paint is still a little damp under it. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to move on to some of the other sections now. In order to make it really work, I have to paint some of the things on the outside too, so let's do that. So what I'm doing is I'm making kind of a little wet river of a pattern back here because I see the pattern of the design back in here. And what I want to do is drop some paint into this little river and make it spread throughout. We'll see how that works. Because I want to have some edges that come right up to the glass. Trying to think of a quick way to do it to get the effect. All right, so let's make a dark, dark. Just start to drop it in to the river.
That looks terrific, Sylvia.
Well, let's see how it ends up. It looks like some of my river merged. It flooded.
Well, it looks great.
Want to come up to the edge here.
So it's like a tablecloth you're creating?
That's what I'm hoping, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, your one danger is that you can't, sometimes as it starts to dry, you can't see your river. Can't see where it is. But I guess you could just paint with the rigger. I wanted it to have sort of a, not quite as controlled of a look.
Yeah, I like the calligraphy of it,
Yeah.
which was something I was noticing in your landscape class the other day. That seascape of yours.
Oh. Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, you had this sort of calligraphic treatments, in places, in the water and in the foreground.
And I'm trying to vary the color a little bit, like dropping a little bit of brown in there too. Okay, well, this could go on for a while, so let me see what else I can do in the time I have. All right, so now there's this really delicious looking magenta, kind of a color under the lace right here, which I do not have on my palette. Let's see. Rose Madder Genuine. And I think that was French ultramarine. I don't want it to bleed into the other paint. Okay, I've got to do some more with this down here. The bottom, get darker. Oops, I got too thick with that. Okay, to make the highlights on the glass stand out more, we have to have some other color in here too. Otherwise, it's gonna compete. So the next step is you try to get some of the pattern established on this lace. But I think I'll paint. Well, I need to get darker here. I want to come back in and paint some flowers, but I just didn't get to it. So right along the edge here, I have to get darker in the background. Want to get a little more blue in here because my blue seems like it went away. The very last thing I want to do, come back in with some darks in the background. If I can do it without making a mess.
I'm going to have to leave now, Sylvia, but thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, it's time, isn't it?
See you next week.
Thank you for
Bye,
being,
Dennis. Bye, Barbara.
Bye-bye.
bye. Okay. All right, I guess I probably should stop for now, but basically what I need to do, the next step would be to come in and adjust a few of these values again, you know, that once it dries enough so that I can increase the contrast in a few places and then come back and bring in some highlights. Anybody have any questions?
It's looking great so far.
Kind of hard to tell
Yeah.
without the flowers and everything too, huh?
No, you're
Well,
doing
yeah,
a
but-
great, you're doing a great job.
Absolutely.
The left door on the table, those hard lines right there really show the lacy, yeah, right there.
Yeah,
That
Yep.
really brings it forward. So some dark strokes are going to help.
yeah, I needed to have that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the what the Fabriano paper that I had that's just 25% cotton and it has more texture. I kind of like what it does with the kind of the texture of the paper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of a
This
new,
is going to turn out really great, Sylvia. You haven't even put the flowers in yet.
well, we'll see.
Yeah, I kept thinking the flowers are about ready to rise up and revolt.
They're saying,
No.
hey, did you forget this is a botanical illustration class?
Mhm. We're doing fabric.
Oh, we're doing the setting.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, well, I don't know if I'll keep painting on it or not. I may.
Yeah.
if you take a,
Not right now, but
Yeah.
put in the pictures.
I will record
I
it.
mean,
If I,
If you
Pardon?
keep painting on it, please let us see it when you go on with it because it really has the start of a really pretty painting.
Yeah, it does.
would you like me
I-
to paint in class instead of trying to paint on it, and recording it?
either way,
Either way, that's
Whatever
Either
you
way.
feel like.
so we can see the progression.
Yeah,
Painting is fine with me.
But it has the makings of a great
In
painting.
class
It
would be
does.
great. Yeah.
It really does. We're
part
happy.
of what's interesting is that you do usually sort of paint all over the painting at once. You usually paint a little bit here and a little bit there and change colors and a little bit here and a little bit there. And this is more, you've been spending more time on particular areas. So that's a very interesting thing to see as well.
Mhm.
It's more like what I used to do for work,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
It'll
so.
be very nice.
You know, it's the reason that I paint all over as much as I do is the time constraint.
Right.
that I
Yeah.
have. And so,
Does this feel like work to you when you're painting the way you used to when you were working?
not really this time. I mean, sometimes, you know, I think I'm afraid it might feel that way and I don't want to do that.
Right.
But no, this time it didn't. I mean, that's why I was saying, gee, I don't really mind it like I thought I would, you know, it's sort of like
Mhm.
kind of relaxing in a way.
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And this is in line with what you've been focusing on this week, which is reflections in glass. So
It's kind of nice to have the
Mhm.
same theme throughout.
Mhm.